Now we start this hour with our top story. President Donald Trump is open to holding a trilateral summit in Alaska with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, according to a White House official. This comes as the White House is currently planning a bilateral meeting with Putin at his request, according to reports. Meanwhile, Trump plans to meet Putin in Alaska, saying the parties, including Zelenskyy, were close to a deal that could resolve the 3.5-year-old conflict. We're now joined by Gilbert Doctorow. He's a Russian affairs expert and he joins us live from Brussels. Gilbert, thank you very much for joining us here on the programme. I want to get your thoughts on this situation as we count down to August the 15th. Is Alaska a neutral ground or a strategic message to Moscow, given its direct maritime border with Russia? It's obviously the first meeting between US and Russian officials since 1988, rather. What are your thoughts on that?
Alaska has a lot of symbolism. The date of the meeting has a lot of symbolism. A few of my colleagues have noticed this. If not, the 15th of August happens to be the Ferragosto, the celebration of the Emperor Augustus. Augustus was known as the man who introduced peace for many decades. He introduced what we call the Pax Romana. And I think that Mr. Trump's assistants were well aware of the significance of the 15th of August. Alaska was purchased by the United States. It wasn't conquered, it was purchased. At the same time, as Russian television has been showing us the last two days, there are descendants of the original Russian settlers there. There are congregations of the Russian Orthodox Church in Alaska. Most of the congregants are Inuits, people we call Eskimos, but the point is that Russian culture did not die out in Alaska. And I think all of this has significance for what is about to happen in Ukraine. I cannot imagine that my colleagues are not aware of the $350 billion in Russian frozen assets, which will somehow have to be settled after the war is over. Now, wouldn't it make sense if some of or all of that were applied to reconstruction in both the Russian-held and the Ukrainian-held parts? No one is talking about this, but if you have a moment, we can. The point is, apart from the extravagant solution that I just mentioned, a more modest solution is also to be anticipated at the Alaska meeting, but it will not be definitive. The Russians have said clearly they expect a follow-on meeting in Moscow afterwards. And a follow-on meeting would be to finish up the work, probably with the Ukrainians and the European present.
Gilbert, a lot of people are criticizing this meeting of Ukrainian allies mainly, and saying that this meeting is pointless without a Ukrainian presence at the table. What are your thoughts on that criticism, that this is merely for a photo op and also risks not truly providing a lasting peace to the war without Ukraine at the table?
Those who are saying that are exactly the ones who do not want a peace. They would like the war to continue indefinitely so that they can justify military buildup in Europe and take money away from social benefits for the population and apply them to military industry. The ones who are saying that this is not going to succeed are precisely the ones who are not friends of Ukraine. They want to fight to the last Ukrainian. They are the ones who are multiplying the deaths of the Ukrainian young people. If a fair solution understood as fair by the broad population of Ukraine is put forward, then Mr. Zelenskyy's regime will be overthrown in a matter of days. And that is why nobody is talking about distributing the $350 billion in Russian frozen assets to the Ukrainian people, if they agree to a peace on Russia's terms. They will agree. All the widows who have not received a cent from the cheating, stealing government of Mr. Zelensky will get paid off. $100,000 each, why not? I'm trying to say that everything is being turned on its head by the propagandists in Berlin, in London, and in Paris. The reality is very different and much more optimistic. So your audience should feel comfortable. There will be no World War III. There will be a settlement to this. And Mr. Trump is genuinely a peacemaker.
Yes, Gilbert, do stay with us as we discuss further developments. We have an update coming in from Poland, where the Prime Minister, Donald Tusk, while speaking at a cabinet meeting ahead of the Trump-Putin meeting in Alaska, he weighed in on the situation.
No, nie ulega wątpliwości, że w interesie Polski jest, aby Rosja nie wyszła zwycięsko z tej konfrontacji i żeby cały czas, i mam nadzieję, że skutecznie, przekonywać prezydenta Trumpa do tego europejskiego stanu. To znaczy Ukraina nie może tej wojny przegrać i nikt nie ma prawa wywierać presji na Ukrainę, jeśli chodzi o ustępstwa terytorialne czy inne decyzje, które pachniałyby kapitulacją. I mówię o tym nie tylko dlatego, że tego wymaga solidarność z napadniętym narodem, sąsiedzkim, przyjaznym narodem, ale to przede wszystkim jest wymóg naszego bezpieczeństwa. Osłabiona Ukraina, niesprawiedliwie potraktowana, silna Rosja, zwycięska Rosja to jest bezpośrednie i szybkie zagrożenie.
Moreover, as the tensions carry on and Trump and Putin's meeting looms, Ukrainian servicemen have voiced their views, saying it is wrong to discuss the country's future without their involvement. Let's take a listen.
Вони хочуть нашого президента поки що оставити збоку, самі зустрітися, це все з Понтом переговорити, домовитись, як їм обом буде краще. Перш за все, Америці, Росії і так понятно, що вона хоче захопити наші землі. І вони там щось між собою домовляться, потім поставлять перед фактом України.
Це, скажімо так, не дуже гарно з їхнього боку, тому що це саме питання України, це питання нашого майбутнього.
We're now joined by Gilbert Doctorow once again to discuss these further updates. Gilbert, territorial concessions are at the top of the agenda here. Donald Trump says he will try and get back territory for Ukraine in these talks with Putin. Russia, of course, now controlling 20% around approximately of Ukrainian territory. Do you think Donald Trump might be able to convince Putin to do that?
Oh, it's clear that he can and will, but the amount of territory that will be so-called exchanged is nominal. It is symbolic, but has no real weight in negotiations. As I said, there are ways that this can be solved which are more serious than exchanging a little fringe of territory around the city of Sumy next to the Russian border, or around Kharkov for the, say, 40% of Donetsk Oblast province that still is in Ukrainian hands, though it is officially by Russia considered to be its own territory. So the exchange idea is a kind of fig leaf for a much bigger negotiation. I believe that this settlement of Ukraine is within reach. It probably can be done completely within a month, but it will not be done on the basis that the broad population in the West has been led to believe. It will be done in a much more sophisticated way. People underestimate, really underestimate the negotiating skills of Mr. Trump's team. They managed to turn around in this past weekend the thinking of the bête noire, of the most obstinate and difficult member of the United States Senate, the senator from South Carolina, Lindsey Graham, who from one day to the next, after playing golf with Mr. Trump, decided that this negotiation is really quite good and peace will arrive. This is the man who a few weeks before was calling for killing every Russian you can find. So in the statement made by the so-called coalition of the willing this past weekend, a new sentence was added to their statements, which contradicts completely what Europe was saying earlier. That is to say, we cannot speak about territorial losses for Ukraine. They have to keep what they had in 1992. Well, in their newest statement, they say that the war should stop and negotiations should start on the basis of the line of confrontation, meaning all the territories that Russia now has, it will keep. This is not necessarily de jure, but de facto. Everything is in motion. Mr. Trump's team has been working. Mr. J.D. Vance was speaking to those very people. He wasn't just listening to them in London this past weekend. He was speaking to them, and they added this sentence, which changes the whole nature of the European approach. Therefore, I would urge your audience to be optimistic. A solution will be found. I heard one sentence of your audience had the benefit, obviously, of English subtitles to what Mr. Tusk was saying. My Polish was strong enough for me to understand that he was against the Russian violation of property.
Yes.
And yes, and Mr. Tusk is not to be taken with any seriousness. The man has no political weight, and he has been anti-Russian from the moment he was born. So I don't listen to Mr. Tusk. Besides, he has a military that could be just devastated by Russia in one day. This is not a serious man. For that matter, the leaders in Europe have admitted in the last few days that they cannot participate in the negotiations because they have no military. That's correct, they don't. So let's get serious. The remarks made by these leaders is the losing side.
Gilbert, we'll move on to what's going